Hey guys, I decided I'd get on camera and do a little update on the missing episodes of Rescue 911. So in January 2021, when I'm recording this, most of the episodes are available online. It's actually available streaming for the first time officially on plutotv.com. Check out the links below in the video description if it's still available in the future when you're watching this. But there are still a few episodes of Rescue 911 that remain elusive. A lot of these are from the 7th season, which only aired one time on CBS and was never put into reruns in the United States. So the episodes are really rare. The only way to find them is if somebody has their old VHS copies from when they recorded them off TV in 1996. So I'm going to go through the episodes that are still missing, and if you recognize any of these as episodes that you may have on tape, please let me know down below in the comment section. The first episode I'm looking for is Season 7, Episode 8, or the production number is 626, and it aired on March 28th, 1996. The reason I want this episode is because the first segment is missing. I actually have the other 3 segments of the episode, but the first one got cut off. It involves a warehouse accident in Indiana, and this clip you're watching here is actually from an international version of the episode I found, but it's dubbed over in Portuguese, and I don't speak Portuguese, so I'd really like to see the original English version. But I'll let you take a look.
Scott! Ai, meu Deus! Scott! 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 Ele não reagia e, do jeito que o aço estava em cima dele, pensei que ele tivesse morrido. Scott!
So that is the segment from episode 626 that's still missing. A forklift knocks a shelf of steel beams onto a warehouse worker. The other segments from that episode are a man having a heat stroke while dirt biking in the desert with his stepson, a teenager who leaves a trail and she slides down into a ravine and goes over a waterfall, and then a dog who saves a baby by alerting the mother when the baby stops breathing. So the next episode I'm looking for is episode 713 by production number. It's actually season 7, episode 14 if you're going by the air date order. It aired on August 20th, 1996. This is one where I have the 3rd and 4th segments. I don't have the second one, but it has been uploaded by someone else. The first segment, though, is still missing. This is another one where I did manage to find the Portuguese language version. As far as I can tell, this segment happens in Holly, Colorado. It involves a teenager, Michael, who's driving his tractor along the road. He turns into a field, and this guy who's coming from the other direction sees that something has scared the birds. And when he pulls up, he finds that the tractor is upside down in the ditch. And when he checks underneath it, he finds that Michael is pinned underwater by the tractor. So some other bystanders come by and call 911, and they eventually lift the tractor off of him with a chain. Other segments from this episode are Curious Courtney, about a 1st grade student who gets her finger stuck in a desk at school. And then a high-speed chase in Tucson, Arizona that ends with a police dog being shot.
I could see flashes, and then I saw Jenny fall backwards. As we came around, I could see the dog on the ground. Shot the dog, he shot the dog.
And then probably the most memorable, bizarre segment from the episode is this kid who gets trapped under a tree stump. So the next episode I'm looking for is episode 712, or in air date order, it's season 7, episode 9. It aired April 4th, 1996. This is actually the only episode that I just completely do not have on tape at all. Like, I have no part of this episode. The only footage I've seen from this episode is a partial copy of the first segment that one of the band members uploaded.
When 27-year-old guitarist Worth Wagers was electrocuted and stopped breathing, none of the other band members, including his best friend Liam Davis, were prepared to perform CPR.
The first half of the segment is missing, so what's been uploaded picks up after the show returns from a commercial. I believe what happened before the commercial break is that the guitar player was electrocuted, I believe, by the microphone. I may be mistaken. And then at the end, he's recovered and they perform a couple of their songs. And then we get a partial preview of the second segment.
Next.
I'm thinking, and this kid was in the house, what is this little kid gonna look like?
Let's talk.
Now, I've not actually seen this segment, but according to a news article I read, it happens in Redding, California, and what happened was a 12-year-old girl called 911 during a domestic dispute at her house where her dad stabbed her mom. And there was a similar segment in season 6 called Christina's Call, but this is not Christina's Call. The segment from episode 712 is a completely different incident. And the third segment of episode 712 was about a covered wagon accident in Wisconsin. What happened was the horses pulling the wagon smelled the scent of bears that had passed through earlier, and they bolted. So a woman and her husband were thrown from the wagon, and the woman's leg was run over by the wagon wheel. And then the horses continued running away with the kids still inside the wagon, so some other riders who were participating in the event chased after them and slowed the wagon down before it reached a busy intersection. And then the last segment of episode 712, I don't really have any information about other than that it was a documentary style segment about an air ambulance, like helicopter service somewhere in Florida. The next episode I'm looking for is episode 208. And I actually have that episode on tape, but it's a rerun from the summer of 1991. And I think the original broadcast of that episode might have a lost segment that aired one time and was taken out of all repeats of that episode. So in my copy of the episode, the segments are Daytona, which is a speedway crash where a paramedic was hit by a race car. The second segment is Smoke-Filled House, which is a woman trapped in her smoke-filled house after her TV explodes. This is a repeated segment from season 1. Then the third segment, 911 Smart Boy, a kid wakes up and hears his mom struggling with an intruder, and so he calls 911. Then the last segment, Digitalis Kid OD, a toddler overdoses on her grandmother's heart medication. So the reason I think this episode may contain a lost segment is because back in 2006, I was looking through old TV guides when I was trying to put together an episode guide for Rescue 911. And when I read about this episode, it described a segment where an Oregon man saves his infant son from a house fire. And since I had the episode on tape and it didn't have that segment on it, I just kind of dismissed it as a mistake. But then later on YouTube, somebody actually left a comment asking, had I seen a segment where a man wakes up to find his house is on fire, and then he breaks out of his bedroom window and then runs around the house and breaks into his son's bedroom window to pull his son out of the house. So I looked up some other archived listings, and some of them actually described the segment as a man from Portland, Oregon breaks through 2 windows to save his infant son from a house fire. So now I'm kind of wondering, like, was there a segment that only aired once and was replaced with the repeat of Smoke-Filled House and all the reruns? And then one other piece of evidence actually comes from another episode of Rescue 911, the 100 Live Save Special, which is the first episode of Season 4.
Dear Rescue 911, I'm a single parent with a 2.5-year-old daughter, Allison, who is my life. One of the episodes dealt with an electrical cord from a light in the child's room catching fire. During the program, one of the firefighters explained how everyone should check their wiring periodically. I immediately went into her room and checked the heater wire. When I moved the dresser, I found where the wire had burned through, charred the back of the dresser, as well as the wall, and the plug into the receptacle was partially melted.
So out of all of the episodes from the first 3 seasons of Rescue 911, I can't think of any about a light cord in a child's room catching on fire. So I'm kind of wondering if, like, maybe this woman who wrote to the show actually saw the lost episode. Episode 208 originally aired on November 13th, 1990. So if you have the original broadcast of it, I would be interested to know if it actually does have that lost fire segment on it. The last episode I'm looking for is episode 710. It was actually the 10th episode to air in season 7, so it has the same production and airing order. It aired on April 11th, 1996. And the reason I want this episode is for the first segment, the Salt Lake City Public Library hostage incident.
Don't anybody move! I've got a gun and I got a bomb in the bag right here!
I do have a partial copy of this episode on tape. The problem is the episode cuts off about 3 minutes in, and then a chunk of about 3 or 4 minutes is missing out of the middle before it picks back up. So in this episode, a disgruntled veteran forces several hostages into a conference room, and an undercover police officer manages to get into the conference room and pose as a hostage. So the gunman calls a radio station, and he demands that the DJ put him on the air. Meanwhile, the police who are stationed outside are talking about whether they think the gunman has discovered Lieutenant Prescott posing as one of the hostages. So then it cuts out, and there's a big chunk missing.
You think he's identified Lieutenant Prescott?
We determined if he releases that bomb, we're all dead.
I do have the Portuguese version to fill you in on what happened in the 3 or 4 minutes that got cut out. The DJ tells the gunman that she can't put him on the air because the switch is broken, and he tells her that she has 72 hours to fix it. So it goes to a commercial and then comes back, and the gunman forces all of the hostages to write their names down. There's more of the actual recorded call between the gunman and the radio station, where the gunman is requesting certain songs. I think he tells the DJ to play some more Jethro Tull. And then one of the hostages is diabetic and needs insulin, and he accuses her of faking it. And I think that's about where it cuts back into the version that's online right now. So if you see this segment online, if it's the complete version, it would be about 12 minutes. The incomplete version that's up now is about 7 minutes. So if you see that, I already know about that one. Also, you can tell it's the incomplete version because it cuts off right here.
My friends, the people and things I love, because at any moment...
And that's not actually the real ending. This is actually how the segment ends.
And here's to being alive.
So the other segments from that episode are a woman who goes into premature labor in the car in front of the house, a snowmobile that falls into a fissure on a glacier in Iceland, and then lizard finger lock, where a pet lizard bites down on a kid's finger and won't let go. So yeah, I know most people have probably thrown out their old VHS tapes at this point, but I know some of you have to still have them. I see you posting these retro commercials. So if you happen to recognize any of the episodes from this video as episodes that you have on tape, please leave me a comment down below in the comment section. My tapes have lots of old retro commercials too. Maybe I could hook you up with this retro Pepsi AC commercial. Maybe that's a hot collector's item.
I think it needs a little more spice.
Looks like she gave him the wrong pill. Anyway, though, I'm sure there are a lot of us out there who would like to see a new Rescue 911 episode just one more time. So I'd like to hear from somebody who could make that happen. And I'm not good at coming up with ways to conclude things, so I'm just going to wrap this up the lazy way.